Hello everyone, welcome back to the stream. Today we're doing more this bullshit. 428 Shibuya scrambled. Shibuya scrambled like my eggs. Anyways, so last time we ended it off quite inconclusively with us capturing and getting all Karawan to say literally fucking nothing. And so now let's try to avoid that. So let's see what this said. Yeah, I got a bad ending for Kano. Yeah, it got, the questioning got us nowhere, and he wanted to get caught. So someone can do something at 1/40 that throws a wrench in Kano's activities thanks to the involvement of unrelated parties, and Kano's reaction will make the investigation play out differently. Oh, did I set Osawa down on a different path because I called Kajiwara? Oh, wow. I don't think that was the correct move. So let's do the other one. He dialed up Sasayama. He wanted to make sure his partner had gotten all Karawan back to the precinct safely. Sasayama picked up almost right away. Kano, what's up? How are things on your end? Any problems getting all Karawan back? Nah, I've got Tateno taking care of him. Wait, what? Kano could hardly believe his ears. You were in touch with Tateno? He asked. He could hear the shock in his own voice. Yeah, just bumped into him over by the precinct a little while ago. Then he is safe. Kano felt a surge of relief. What about Hitomi then? Stanley glanced over at him, curious. Tateno says he lost track of her somehow. And then he got called back to the precinct, apparently. Tateno had lost track of her. That's not like him, Kano thought. Since he was heading back there anyway, I handed our guy over to him, Sasayama said. I see. Kano was glad to hear that Tateno was all right, but his relief was tempered by a surge of anger at the thought of what had happened to Hitomi. Now I'm back to tailing the attaché case, Sasayama continued. Today's my wife's birthday, you know. My plan is to wrap this thing up ASAP so we can celebrate tonight. I've already got a present and everything. I envy you, man. Closing his eyes, Kano took a moment to picture Rumi, but Shizuo's face popped into his mind's eye right alongside her. Well, just hang in there, buddy. Even if your girlfriend is just a picture of Masami Nagahama. Yeah, go ahead and tell me what happens in it. Or better yet, send me a video. Midoriyama Academy graduate, a national celebrity. Her popularity knows no signs of slowing down after she played the female lead in such films as The Beast That Hoarded Gold at the Heart of the World and The Swidden Fortress. There is another nationally famous actress with the same name, but it is a nationally known fact that the two are completely separate people. Ha 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 ha. Still snickering, Sasayama hung up. Kano bit his lip and slipped his phone back into his pocket. At long last, traffic began to move again. Almost as soon as it did, however, Stanley had to slam on the brakes. The abrupt stop made Kano smack his head against the windshield. Hey, what gives? Look, Stanley said. He gestured with his chin. Yep. Same bad end. But now Osawa is back on the right track. So now let's continue on with Achi. Out on the main road. Hitomi! Achi shouted. We're going across! What? Wait, I could probably go a bit further. When they were halfway across, a car slammed on its brakes to keep from hitting them, causing several cars behind it to crash into one another. The multi-vehicular pileup plunged the roadway into total chaos. And yep, that caused Shinya Kano to not die. In a matter of moments, the street was clogged with a long line of stopped vehicles. Achi and Hitomi's pursuers remained on the other side and did not pursue. Okay, that was crazy. Oh, that was crazy. Hitomi panted as she caught her breath. Well, you know what they say. Idle feet are the devil's playthings. Hands. It's idle hands. Whatever. At least they got away. I can just delete it from my watch history. Just DM it to me in Discord. Come on, let's go. Achi led the way down several twisting side streets before slowing his pace. By now, Hitomi was slumped and panting heavily. He wanted to give her some time to rest, but if they just hung around, their pursuers might still find them. He looked around and spotted a multi-tenant building. The nearest door was open. Bundles of flyers were set out near the entrance. Flyers for Au revoir, the 22nd performance by the theater troupe The Wandering Angels. It tells the tale of a man named Ryu looking back on his 100-year life as a warrior. The performance features wire action as its major set piece, with Ryu and his rival Shido flying through the air, doing battle with the magical Muramasa blade and beam saber, respectively. That sounds like it would be fit for the steel or nickel samurais / Jammin Ninja. Achi peeked inside and saw piles of plywood and painted lumber. It looked like this was a storeroom for a theater's stage props and scenery. We can hide out in here, he said. But, Tommy hesitated, but Achi gave her hand a little tug. We'll be fine. There's nobody around. They stepped inside the storeroom, and Achi quickly shut the door behind them. We should probably rest for a bit, he said. There was a wooden platform set up beside a large piece of plywood. Achi picked up a magazine that had fallen on the floor and spread it out atop the platform's dusty surface. Here, now you can sit without getting your clothes dirty. Thank you. Hitomi quietly took a seat. We should probably turn off our cell phones, Achi said. It could be really bad if they rang at the wrong moment. The two powered off their phones. Achi took a cursory look around. It didn't look like there was any way in or out beside the door they'd come in through. There was a single window set in the wall, but it wouldn't open far enough to let them through. That's not creepy at all. Ah! Ah! Hitomi let out a quiet gasp. Someone was outside the storeroom. Achi put a finger to his lips, and Hitomi gave a fearful nod. The window's frosted glass blocked any real view in or out. As long as they stayed quiet, they ought to be safe. Whoever was outside pressed their face to the frosted glass, trying to get a glimpse inside. The blurry visage of the foreigner who'd attacked them was dimly visible. Like the man with the cane before him, this guy was quick to catch up. The man pounded on the glass. Achi swallowed the lump in his throat. If this guy got in, they had nowhere to run. Achi turned to Hitomi. What time is it? Let's hurry out through the door. Right now, they were little more than trapped rats. But... Hitomi clutched onto Achi's arm, hard. Can I help you? Can I help you with something? Said a casual voice from outside. They saw their pursuer react at once, pulling back from the window. That's just our storeroom, you know, the voice added. Achi heard footsteps scampering away. The kidnapper had run off. Achi exchanged glances with Hitomi and let out a tiny sigh. There were more voices coming from outside now. What was up with that guy? I don't know. Whatever. Let's just hurry and get stuff tidied up. And my throat's raw. It sounded like a conversation between two men. The storeroom door opened, and the men clomped their way inside. Tomonori Takuya and Taro Toga, two members of the theater troupe, the Wandering Angels. Takuya is the Wandering Angels' star actor, playing the lead role of Ryu in today's performance of Au Revoir, the troupe's 20-second piece. Last night, he slept completely naked and caught a cold, leading to the sore throat he has now. Toga is the stage director, handling things behind the scenes. He's very irritated at Shinichi Bando, in charge of the props. Seems to have gone AWOL. So, what are we getting? Let's grab all those folding tables over there. The producer said we're going to need a lot more seats, all of a sudden. Mr. Ore said that? Going all out for the troops' last hurrah, huh? Beats me, man. In no real hurry, the men went about carting the folding chairs away. They didn't notice Achi and Hitomi sitting silently in the shadows. Not to change the subject, but how come we're using a dry ice machine and not a smoke machine? Maybe that's why my throat's bothering me. Yeah, it's pretty weird. Nobody's even operating it, and it's still drawing a ton of power. Think it's defective? Achi and Hitomi waited for the two men to finish up. If they were spotted, it would probably cause a scene, and worse still, it might alert the men who were hunting them. Once they'd carried off the rest of the folding chairs, the men closed the storeroom door. The foreigner could still be somewhere nearby, though, so Achi decided they should hide out in the room a little longer. Gah, this blows. I want to get back out there to look for that blue van ASAP, but... Achi trailed off as something occurred to him. Wait a second. Now that's weird. Hitomi looked at him inquiringly. The kidnappers already have the ransom money, yeah? Achi said. That's right. And then they told you that your sister was in some blue minivan. Isn't that kind of weird? What do you mean? Did you figure that your sister was in the minivan by herself? Well, yes. If one of the kidnappers were with her, They wouldn't need to send me to go get her. Right, Achi said. And yet the fact that was as soon as the kidnappers had their money, they could have let Hitomi's sister out of the vehicle and just run off. There was no point in sending Hitomi to fetch her personally. It took a look of revelation dawned on Hitomi's face. Oh! That minivan had already left Ogenzaka, she said. And it came back while we were there waiting for it, Achi finished. He thought back to his earlier run-in with the blue vehicle. So then inside that minivan, there had been a bunch of foreigners inside, which meant the kidnappers didn't have any intention of giving her sister back. The more Achi thought about it, the less sense it made for them to send Hitomi to get her. There had to be some other reason they wanted Hitomi to go to that minivan, but what? Do you think they were trying to do you think they were trying to kidnap me too? That's it! Achi clapped his hands together. Then they let your sister go and demand a ransom for you. And then they'd make her deliver the ransom money for your release. They'd be able to get, like, infinite ransom money by... That's not... Infinite ransom money glitch. By constantly abducting one twin after the other. That seems a little far-fetched. Oh, yeah, I guess you're right. Now that she'd said so, Achi realized it was kind of a ridiculous idea. Still, what if the kidnappers really were trying to kidnap me? Hitomi said. As in, like, they accidentally abducted the wrong twin? I mean, I guess that would have been easy to botch up. That would imply that they wanted me specifically and not my sister. Hitomi paused briefly and thought. Maybe you're hotter than your sister or something? Achi suggested with enthusiasm. Hitomi shook her head. That can't be it. If anything, it's the other way around. Compared to my sister, I'm just... Whoa. Hey, stop right there. Achi had to interrupt her. You're not just anything. Please don't. I'm just... Tears had welled up in Hitomi's eyes. Why? Why'd this have to happen to her? Why not me? Whoa. Hey, come on, don't cry. I'm sorry. Cheer up. It's like that song says. Don't just stand there. Wipe those tears away. That one. You know it? Is that Aya Kamiki? Yeah, that's the one. Put your hand in mine. Every single bee is a light. Huh? You know, every single bee's a light. Hitomi let out a giggle. Everything will be alright. Hmm? Got the lyrics wrong. It's everything will be alright. Ah, right. Yeah, I guess that makes more sense. I guess. Achi's mouth curled into a sheepish smile. Sheepish smile. What the fuck? Alright, I think we've laid low long enough, Achi said at last. Think we should be on our way? He was about to get to his feet when he heard voices outside the storeroom again. Yikes, that was pretty careless of us. Yeah, we definitely gotta watch it. The theater guys from earlier had returned, and they had sounded a bit panicked. Tomonari Takaya and Taro Toga, two members of the theater troupe, the Wandering Angels. Takaya is the Wandering Angels' star actor, but lately, in addition to appearing on their stage, he's been taking on TV drama and film work as well. The next role he's slated for is in Sun TV's upcoming suspense drama, Sumo Queen 2, where he will play the referee who utters the lame line, "Looks like things are getting heavy," upon discovering a victim's dying message inscribed in one corner of the sumo ring. That's funny. Heard folks have been messing with the storeroom a bunch recently. And did you hear who's behind it? Some juvenile delinquents. Like a gang? Wow, that takes me way back. Alright, let's hurry on back. Achi rushed over to the door. He tried turning the knob, but the door wouldn't budge. Oh, come on, are you freaking kidding me? He paced frantically around the room, pulling at his hair. We're locked in! Uh-oh. And that door was the only way in or out. Achi and Hitomi were well and truly trapped inside the storeroom. This is all my fault, Achi said. It was my idea to hide out here in the first place. He bowed to Hitomi repeatedly. We're never going to be able to find that blue minivan now. Guess we'll have to get someone on the outside to help us. Wait. Guess we'll have to get someone on the outside to help us, Hitomi replied. She scowled thoughtfully. They powered their phones back on in order to call for help. Oh, Hitomi chirped. That's me. She took a look at the LCD display. It's an email from Mr. Tanaka. Ah, okay. Hitomi began typing out a response with practiced ease. More wild delusions rose in Achi's mind. Ideas or fantasies conjured up in one's mind with no logical or factual basis. People can become deluded for varying reasons about a whole host of different subjects. Thankfully, Achi's delusions here are of an ultimately harmless sort. Thank you, game. Oh my god. Stealing a quick glance at Hitomi, he noticed her gazing happily at her phone screen. His delusions ran even more wild. Oh my god. Bro, just give it up. While he was still fretting furiously, Hitomi finished typing a response. So, what did you wind up saying? Achi asked. I explained the situation. That we're trapped in a storeroom, you've got some guys chasing after you, and you're looking for some van? Yes. I also asked him to keep this a secret from my family and the police. Whoever this Tanaka guy was, Hitomi sure seemed to put a lot of trust in him. A short while later, Hitomi's phone chimed with a reply. She checked the screen in a flash, all eagerness. He did his utmost to pretend he didn't notice. Mr. Tanaka says he's gonna look for the minivan for us. Huh? He says he wants us to hide out here a little longer. What? No, if he just comes and lets us out, I can go look for the van myself. He said that if someone's after me, it's safer to stay where we are. Yeah, I'm out of the running, Achi thought to himself. This Tanaka was clearly pretty concerned for her. And there was really only one reason a middle-aged man would think like that. Alright, fine. We'll wait. Achi turned his own phone off, then slumped back in a huff. After 20 more minutes in the storeroom, the two were sitting in silence. Achi had run out of things to talk about. Do you think you'll ever be friends again? You and that one guy. Susumu, I think it was. Tommy's question caught Achi off guard. He stammered, unsure how to respond. Tommy shook her head. I'm so sorry. I barely know you. That was insensitive of me. No, it's alright. I mean, sometimes I wish things could go back to the way they used to be, Achi said. He let out a tiny sigh. What that Kiryu guy said was the truth. I was the guy who founded SOS. Do you know what I mean by that? Hitomi gave a slight nod. I mean, I never wanted to be in charge of a gang or anything, but I knew that if I left, SOS would just fall apart. And I didn't want everyone else to get it all caught up over who would take my place, you know? So I thought long and hard about it, looking for a way out for folks to stay friends even after I was gone. The loud voice echoed through the pool hall that served as SOS HQ. An establishment for playing pool, more formally known as pocket billiards. This particular place is a pool bar, serving alcohol. The standard pool table is rectangular in shape, sports 6 pockets, 4 in the corners and 1 in the middle of each long side, and supports multiple games, including 9-ball, 8-ball, and rotation. There are also tables without pockets. This style is known as carom billiards. What do you mean you're leaving? Susumu was positively red in the face. You're a founder, Achi. You can't just up and quit. Susumu had been almost like a younger brother to Achi. If anyone was going to try to stop him, Achi knew full well it would be Susumu. Look, I'm not gang leader material. All I've been trying to do is make sure we are all able to have fun. That's not true, Susumu said. Think about all that stuff you taught us. Don't you remember? Every man gets to make one request in his life that cannot be denied. Those are your words, Achi. Did I say that? It's the heaviest thing you've ever said. Then, to Achi's consternation, Susumu got down on his hands and knees. I'm begging you, please don't leave. Without you, SOS is nothing. Achi could feel his conviction waver. I'm begging you here, from one man to another. This is my one request. Susumu, I'm sorry. Achi could barely croak out the words. I'm leaving you in charge. You can't! Susumu pleaded. Please don't say that! Achi turned his back to him in silence. Please, Achi, why don't you listen? Can't possibly beg any harder than this. Enough with all the request nonsense. Achi grimaced. What? Look at you, down on your hands and knees like that. Pathetic. Ultimately stems from the Greek word pathetikos, meaning subject to feeling or capable of emotion. Over time, the meaning changed to signify exciting the passions, and later on to the more modern sense of arousing one's pity. Achi spoke as harshly as he could, fighting to mask his true feelings. I'm fed up with you. All of you. With each word out of his mouth, Achi could feel his own heart breaking. But if he could make the others hate him, at least it would give SOS a reason to stay together. How can you say that? Don't you try and pull that crap! Susumu's tone had changed from sadness to anger. Fine then, he railed. I'm never asking you for anything again. I'll do what I want. I'll take the reins of SOS. Achi walked away, waving vaguely without looking back. Good luck. I mean it. Once he'd stepped out of the pool hall, he wiped his sleeve across his face. It came away wet with tears. Damn. Sometimes I think that maybe I could go back and I could apologize to those guys and we could go back to the good old days again. But that's never gonna happen. Not unless Suzune gets better. He stared into the distance at nothing in particular. At least he'd sorted out how he felt about his former pals. Is there nothing that can help your sister? Hitomi asked. She needs a heart transplant. And the problem with heart transplants is that the timing is very tricky. The act of surgically implanting one person's heart into another's body. Such an operation is typically only performed on a patient with severe heart disease who cannot survive without a new heart. There are strict requirements that must be met before a heart can be transplanted, however, chief among them that the donor must first be brain dead. Even if there's a donor available, the transplant has to be performed within 4 hours or things get dicey. Because lack of oxygen damages, because of lack of oxygen causes damage, referred to as warm ischemia damage, in any organ removed from a human body, a transplant must be carried out and blood circulation restored within a certain time window, known as the total ischemic time. In the case of a heart transplant, the total ischemic time is only 4 hours. Helicopters and charter jets are frequently used to rapidly transport hearts for such operations. Oh, wow. I didn't realize. Someone with the heart that's a match for Suzune would need to die somewhere near her. Somewhere they could perform the surgery within that 4-hour window. The odds of that happening are so small it would be almost a miracle, which is what my sister's been waiting for. Achi thumped the left side of his chest. My heart would do the trick. I'd gladly let her have it. Damn it. I've got a strong heart, too. He thumped himself on the chest again and again. He didn't mention it to Hitomi, but Suzune's blood type made finding her a heart transplant even more difficult. She had Bombay blood. A type of blood that does not correspond to the more common types of A, B, O, or AB. In some instances, a standard blood typing yields a result of O in such individuals. First discovered in the city of Bombay, now Mumbai, on India's west coast, the blood type takes its name from that city due to its relatively high incidence rate among the inhabitants. It was one of the rarest blood types in the world. Apparently, there were only a few dozen people in all of Japan who had it. Rare blood types such as Bombay are scarce enough that even nationwide blood centers seldom have them in sufficient supply. For this reason, when such blood types are discovered in everyday testing, samples are quickly taken to be frozen and stored at temperatures lower than 80 degrees below centigrade. If Suzune were ever to receive a heart transplant, it would need to be from someone who also had Bombay blood. Achi? Hitomi sounded like she was on the verge of tears. Wow, she must really feel bad for Suzune. You did manage to find a heart for your sister. What would you do? What do you mean? Say, if you happened across someone who was a donor match, I would do anything. Anything? Yeah, whatever it took. I'd risk my own life if it meant helping Suzune. I mean, at that point, I'd assume God had granted me a miracle or something, you know? Mr. Tanaka? Unfortunately for these two, it's not Mr. Tanaka. Right now, Tanaka is at the Osawa residence on his way to speak with Kenji Osawa, who's washing dishes after lunch. I'll jump in a little bit. Hitomi's voice was barely a squeak. For a moment, all was silent. Maybe it's just a cat? Achi suggested. Or not? Suddenly, someone hit the door hard. It sounded like they were trying to break the lock. You really think that's Tanaka? Achi asked. I'm not sure. If it were him, I think he'd probably say something. Achi grabbed Hitomi's hand. You'd better hide. The two of them slipped behind a large piece of plywood stage dressing. The door swung open with a loud creak. Oh, shit! In stepped the man with the cane. What the heck? What the heck? Achi whispered. What's he doing here? Gun drawn, the assassin prowled slowly around the storeroom. Achi and Hitomi crouched behind the plywood prop, trying not to make a sound. The man moved out of their line of sight. Achi gazed longingly at the door. Achi risked a peek around the corner of the plywood. He still couldn't see the man with the cane. The door was maybe 5 meters away. What should they do? No. They needed to wait for a safer chance to escape. Achi heard the sound of a cell phone vibrating from behind a tall piece of plywood leaning by the door. The assassin stepped out from behind it. He still hadn't spotted his quarry. I'm sure this is the place. His voice was low and confident. Uh-oh. Did he have friends? Still clutching his phone, the assassin wandered deeper into the storeroom. Achi and Hitomi took the opportunity to slip out the door. They ran through the alleyways back toward the main road. Before they reached it, however, they suddenly found their path cut off by one of the foreigners who'd chased them earlier, the accomplice of the man with the pipe. He stood waiting for them, holding a knife in one hand. Out of the frying pan and into the fire. If they turned back, Achi knew the man with the cane might catch up with them, and he had a gun. Achi slipped off his sleeveless jacket and wrapped it around his left arm. He was going to have to use his left arm to guard against the knife while punching with his right hand. He clenched his fist and braced himself. And then suddenly, he froze. Huh? A small dark silhouette dropped from somewhere up above. Landing deftly, the newcomer lunged toward the man with the knife, closing the gap between them in the blink of an eye. The figure delivered a swift chop to the back of the man's neck. He dropped to the pavement like a dead man, finally giving Achi a clear view of the shadow behind him. Achi couldn't believe his eyes. It was a small-statured young woman with Middle Eastern features. Uh-oh. We got a Palestinian warrior over here. Hitomi let out a little gasp. Kanan? Oh, shit. A friend that Maria picked up in the Middle East? Oh, shit. I have 2 jumps here. Let's jump to Tama first. Actually, no. Osawa. Director, if you have a moment. Tanaka poked his head into the kitchen. I've got something urgent to discuss with you. Yes, of course. Osawa took the bug tracker from his pocket and handed it back to Kajiwara. I won't be needing this anymore. As soon as they had left the kitchen, Tanaka leaned in close and whispered to him. I got an email from Hitomi. He showed his cell phone to Osawa. It looks like my sister is being held captive in a blue minivan somewhere in Shibuya. But that man is still chasing me, so I can't really go looking for it. A blue minivan? Allow me to handle this, sir. I'll figure something out. Osawa knew he trusted Tanaka for a reason. Thank you, he said with a bow. Oh, you wouldn't happen to know any place she might have gone, do you, sir? What? It's just all that she's told me is that she's been moving around. I'm sorry. I don't really have any idea, Osawa replied. He was ashamed to say it. There wasn't a single place he knew of where his daughter might be inclined to go. Ah, I see. Tanaka, picking up on his discomfort, was visibly embarrassed himself. He hastened to change the subject. By the way, how did your talk with Mr. Makino go? I confirmed that he was behind the human testing, but I don't know who sent me those emails. Tanaka paused for a moment and thought, looking like he might have a hunch. All right then, he said. We'll have to talk in more detail later. With that, the assistant director headed for the front door. Mr. Osawa? Kajiwara spoke. Wait, Mr. Osawa? Kajiwara spoke from the kitchen door. Peeping on me again, huh? Osawa grumbled. Thankfully, it didn't appear that the detective had overheard his conversation with Tanaka. Good grief, that thing is noisy. If it's broken, why don't you just throw it out? The sounds from the bug tracker grew fainter and fainter. Something wasn't right, Osawa now realized. Mr. Osawa, Kajiwara said. This is my bug tracker. So? Osawa huffed. What I mean is, sir, this one isn't broken. What? A chill ran up Osawa's spine. This track is fucking insane. He swallowed audibly. I've pinpointed the source of the signal, Kajiwara said. It's coming from Mr. Tanaka. No, Osawa thought. I must have misheard that. Hold on. Say that again? I've located the source of the signal. It's coming from Mr. Tanaka, the detective repeated. This time, Osawa heard him crystal clear. I'm certain of it. Mr. Tanaka has a listening device on him. Osawa felt the blood draining from his face. If someone had been listening in on the conversation just now, they'd have heard about the email from Hitomi. If the kidnappers were the ones listening, that meant Maria's life was now in danger. I'll go after him, sir. Kajiwara broke into a sprint. Osawa followed close behind. Brother, it's getting insane. So now we have to jump to Tama. Maybe it's just a cat? The sales demo is over, and against all odds, I managed to get paid. Money clutched in one paw, I head to the knick-knack shop to finally buy that necklace I can't stop thinking about. Hello? Anyone here? I call out. There's no reply. Is the shopkeeper out? Ah, just a moment. Panting, the sales clerk comes scurrying into the shop behind me. Sorry about that. I just had to pop out for a sec. Ugh, I would not believe what I just saw. He leans against a pillar, gasping audibly as he tries to catch his breath. Ah, you're here about that necklace? You still have it? Of course. Thank you so much. I have half the money here and the rest is in my... Oh. I suddenly remember something very important. Oh no! The sales clerk gives me a curious look. What's the matter? My wallet. It's still in here. I pat the costume around the tummy. So why don't you just take that outfit off? Well, I mean, the zipper's kind of broken. I wouldn't be having all this trouble if I could just get out of this darn costume. Kind of broken? It's way more broken than that. The sales clerk points me to a full-body mirror. He's right, the zipper in the back is hanging open. Taking this thing off will be a cinch now. Oh, thank you! I give him a bow. I'm not sure you need to be thanking me, he says. No, I do. If you hadn't pointed that out, I might have let myself stay stuck in here, forever. So really, thank you so much. I bow again and again. Oh, shit. Who are you? Oh! Oh my god! I was right. It was so simple. It was fucking right there. You could catch that from a mile away. Maria. She is more done up than her sister. But the truth are reveal. Anyways. Thank you. I love watching myself do that too. Wait a minute. Wait, did I? Wait. Oh, no, I don't need to jump. Oh, wait. Ah. Yeah, there we go. I'm going to be heartbroken. He kept his expression blank as an empty slate. Hey now. No need for that, sir. Just settle down. Who doesn't like a silly little magic show now and then? You've got 2 minutes. Hey, a minute can have passed already. 1 minute. Whoa! Just what kind of watch you got there? Tell me why the demo isn't starting. No real reason, really. The man was getting seriously flustered. I wanted folks to get a little magic show first. Nope. Try again. 30 seconds left. Okay, all right. What happened is, the required merchandise, What happened to the merchandise? Minorikawa demanded. He gave the guy a dagger stare. Well, it's just, Time's up. With a roach. What? The man's face went pale. Keep out. Oh, yeah. I have several jumps here. I think this is the correct one. Ah, oops. Oops, ops, eeps, ops. Ah! Oops! Sorry to keep you waiting, a girlish voice exclaimed. A moment later, a furry figure came charging into the demo room. The crowd fell silent at the sight of a young woman in a cat costume. The cat girl panted visibly, with her arms were loaded with cardboard boxes. You're late, the event organizer snapped. What the heck have you been doing? Grabbing the newcomer by one paw, he vanished with her into the back room. The chubby-cheeked girl wrapped up her magic routine and hurried after them. The audience stared at the now empty stage in confusion. Several minutes passed before the organizer reappeared. "Ladies, terribly sorry to have kept you waiting," he called out. Cool. I'm deaf in my left ear now. Very nice. But now I'm proud to introduce to you the worldwide sensation that is Burning Hammer. At his signal, the young woman and the cat appeared on stage. Allow us to explain just how this revolutionary new diet drink works its magic, the young woman exclaimed cheerily. The cat nodded and threw out her arms. For the first time in human history, you can drink a single bottle and lose a whole kilogram. Just drink and burn that excess weight away. And with that, the sales demo was underway, a good 25 minutes behind schedule. 5 minutes into the presentation, things began to go awry. An angry clamor filled the room. What the heck are you trying to pull? I can't believe you'd actually try to sell something like this. The outrage had been triggered by something the young woman on stage had said. She'd inadvertently let slip that Burning Hammer was the sort of thing you could buy at a 100-yen shop. The would-be customers were furious to learn that they were about to be played for suckers. Most of them had immediately tried to storm out of the room. Now the organizer, the full-figured young woman, and the girl in the cat costume were at the door, doing their best to hold back the tide. Things had gotten pretty interesting, really. Minorikawa pulled out his digital camera and started firing off snapshots of the angry crowd. Some modern digital cameras come with the remarkable ability to automatically trigger the shutter when the subject smiles. This function also works if the camera is presented with a TV or photo image of people smiling. There are even cases of cameras recognizing faces in the wood grain of ceilings. After all, if we can make out faces in the wood when we're gazing lazily up at the ceiling, you can't fault the camera for doing the same. Unfortunately, their frenzy was so intense that he was soon caught up with the flow and pushed out of the room. Fine. Guess I'll just need to do some interviews instead of getting pictures. Excuse me, he asked a woman. Would you mind if I asked you some... Shut your mouth! Oh, shit. Would you mind telling me a little about... Don't you talk to me! Could I get a word on... Unbelievable! Just unbelievable! The women were so enraged that Minorikawa couldn't get any of them to give him the time of day. Before long, the entire crowd had surged out of the room and departed. Ah, well. Guess I've got enough to do a write-up at least. Though it would be nice to get a quote from somebody. Yeah. He decided to try for an interview with the man who'd organized this fiasco. How did the guy feel, for instance, about his product scam falling through? Heading back into the event room, Minorikawa passed by the cat mascot. I don't think I need to do that. The cat gave him a tiny nod and walked off without a word. You couldn't see the face of the girl inside the costume, but she seemed genuinely dejected that Burning Hammer had been a bust. Hey, I'm Minorikawa, freelance reporter. I was wondering if I could have 5 minutes of your time. The organizer sat alone in the midst of his ruined displays. Oh, it's you. The man's voice had lost all of its earlier punch. Here, my credentials. Minorikawa handed him a business card. The man introduced himself as Yanagashita, and Minorikawa got right down to business. So your sales demo is over, Mr. Yanagashita. How do you feel right now? How do I feel? Well, tomorrow is another day, I guess. Minorikawa was impressed by the guy's candor. I'm a little surprised to hear that, he said. I figured you'd be more disappointed. Oh, I'm plenty disappointed. I took a big gamble here to repay my debts and I lost. Yanagashita didn't seem to be trying to hide anything. Debts? Minorikawa asked. There was a girl I was in love with, Yanagashita said. I wound up spending everything on her. He stared wistfully into the distance. Ah, interesting, Minorikawa said. You won't be the first man to go to such lengths for a woman. Yeah, Yanagashita said. I suppose not. A rueful smile crossed his lips. This guy didn't strike Minorikawa as some dyed-in-the-wool scam artist. But I decided that it was time to stop feeling sorry for myself, Yanagashita went on. There are plenty of people in the world who have it way worse off, you know? You got that right, Minorikawa nodded in agreement. So I just figure, well, as long as I'm still alive, maybe another opportunity will come my way. A more earnest smile broke through Yanagashita's forlorn expression. Minorikawa wished Toyama could have been here to hear this fellow. I have a friend who's in incredible debt, an incredible amount of debt myself, Minorikawa said. He runs a publishing company, but there was a big mix-up with the scratch cards in the magazine and... Scratch cards? It's not important, Minorikawa said hurriedly. Letting more people know about the whole scratch card fiasco certainly wouldn't do Toyama any favors. Anyhow, that's a terrible thing, Minorikawa nodded sagely. Oh, by the way, this is unrelated, but are you familiar with the group called SOS? Apparently there's some legendary street gang here in Shibuya. SOS? Yanagashita shook his head. No, never heard of them. Guess I'm not going to get any leads on that case here. Minorikawa wondered if there was anything else worth asking this guy. Maybe Yanagashita would be willing to take his Shibuya Now survey. Taking a little bit of the burden off of Chiaki seemed like a good idea. Hold on. My pants. I have another question. How do you feel about your life right now? Huh? How do you feel about your life? Your products aren't selling, you can't repay your debts, and yet you still refuse to give up, believing opportunity will come your way. How do you feel about all that? Yanagashita paused and thought. I'd say I'm a pretty lucky guy. Minorikawa was taken somewhat aback by that response. I haven't been able to sell any burning hammer, and sure I can't pay off my debts, but even so... Yanagashita looked at Minorikawa right in the eye. The two cute young girls I've got working for me have stuck with me through thick and thin. Sometimes maybe you just need to be content with something like that, you know? That was refreshingly forthright. Minorikawa was surprised. And I mean, so what if I've got debts? Yanagashita went on. In the long run, none of that matters. Not really. There was a knock at the door. Oh, excuse me a moment, Yanagashita said. Wonder who that could be. He opened the door and his face froze. Damn! Wasn't quite quick enough. Mr. Minorikawa? Yes? You'll have to pardon me. I've had a little something crop up here, so if you don't mind. Oh, sure, not a problem. I've got other interviews I need to get to anyway, so I'll just... But Yanagashita was out the door before Minorikawa could even finish. Stepping out into the hallway, Minorikawa could faintly hear voices from the adjoining demo room. It sounded like Mr. Yanagashita and two other men. Minorikawa couldn't make out any words, but he could tell they were arguing about something. It was probably some customer complaint against one of his products, or even issue with a client company, something along those lines. Man, people who run companies sure have it rough. You hang in there, Mr. Yanagashita. Uh-oh. Oh, perfect timing. Oh, perfect timing! Minorikawa stopped short as a familiar voice called out to him. It was the man he'd spoken to earlier that afternoon about the surveillance cameras. Hey, come here for a sec. The man waved him over. Oh, what is it? I'm really busy right now. I've got a scoop for you. Saw with my own eyes. Minorikawa raised an eyebrow. Give me the details. Okay, so a little while ago, I saw some foreign guy in handcuffs arguing with someone who looked like a detective. A foreigner in handcuffs? Had there been some kind of international sting or something? Whatever the case, it wasn't such a rare thing to see. Where was this? Just over there, behind the police station. Norikawa furrowed his brow. A suspect arguing with a cop outside a police station wasn't all that weird. Still, he had a feeling he was missing something here. Well, the big thing is what happened afterwards, the man said. Afterward? The man leaned in conspiratorially. The detective undid the guy's handcuffs and let him run off. Whoa, what? I'm telling you, man, it had to have been like a bribe or something. A bribe? That seemed unlikely. I swear that's what it had to be. There was some wheel greasing going on. You're not making all this up, are you? Minorikawa asked. He regarded the man coldly, but the guy still seemed quite legitimately worked up. It's all true. Please, you have to report this to the police right away. Why do I have to do this? Minorikawa asked. If you have a tip for the police, go give it yourself. He didn't quite manage to stop himself from saying that out loud. No, I can't. I'm no good when it comes to police. Besides, they're never going to believe someone like me. Okay, so maybe he had a point there. But you're some world-class reporter, right? The cops will totally take your word over that of a random nobody. Minorikawa didn't have time to debate the point. It was easier just to make the call. He phoned up the police to leave the tip. The man bowed repeatedly, looking pretty grateful. Oh, thank you so much. I haven't been able to get any business done with those scary thugs around. What thugs? What line of business are you in anyway? What? The man suddenly went pale. Whoops. I gotta get going. He skittered off in alarm. Minorikawa was left to wonder what this guy's line of work actually was, but he had more important things to worry about at the moment. He hurried off in the other direction. Before long, he arrived back at Cafe Lautrec. The clock on the wall showed that it was close to 2 o'clock. He had to somehow fill 6 more pages before the loan company came to Heaven Publishing to collect. He booted up his laptop. What's with this coffee shop? He said in a low, stern voice. Got no good magazines here. Minorikawa looked up. An older man was complaining to one of the waitresses. It was the same guy who'd been yelling at his daughter earlier. Evidently, he'd been here at this cafe the whole time. Haven't you got any magazines for me to read? This man's face was a mask of irritation. Minorikawa glanced at the magazines in the rack. They were mostly geared toward a younger reader. The waitress sifted through the stacks and pulled something from the back. Perhaps this would be to your liking, sir? She said. She held out an issue of 4-star general gossip. Don't be ridiculous, the man spat dismissively. This is vulgar, low-grade filth. I wouldn't even use the paper it's printed on for compost. That was a harsh way to put it, but Minorikawa couldn't fault him for speaking the truth. The man continued grumbling as he went back to his seat. Minorikawa headed over to the magazine rack and picked up the gossip himself. He opened the front cover and found the scratch card still inserted within. If these things were still out there, it was bad news. Toyama might end up even further in debt. Ah! Minorikawa yanked the scratch card out and tore it to bits. Sir, what are you doing? The waitress rushed to stop him, only for the pieces to rain down on her like confetti. The magazine itself is still perfectly readable, Minorikawa said. There's no problem here. He strode back to his seat and gazed at his laptop screen. It still hadn't finished booting up. In the meantime, he decided to give Chiaki a call. She picked up right away. Hello? Minorikawa asked. Hi there. Good to hear from you, Chiaki replied. How's progress? I did it, Chiaki said, her voice overcome with emotion. I managed to get people to hear me out. Of course he did. You got your pointers from me. Yes, I couldn't have done without you, Mr. Mino. Her mood had done a complete 180. Minorikawa allowed himself a little sigh of relief. Okay then, he said. Head back to the editing department and put together an article for me. You got it, sir, Chiaki chirped in reply. I'll email you as soon as I'm done with things on my end, Minorikawa told her. Just use the DTP to slot your piece into the right spot in the layout. Abbreviation for desktop publishing. Refers to the process of editing a manuscript's layout on a computer preparatory to sending it to the printer. Also used to refer to the software used for creating such a layout. Creating layout data that is ready for printing but has not actually been printed yet is also sometimes called DTP. Sure thing. Minorikawa hung up, then rolled up his sleeves. He sure was towing a pretty narrow line today. The Burning Hammer event had kept him a little longer than anticipated. Now he needed to clean up his copy as soon as possible in order to stick to his schedule. When he turned back towards his laptop, however, he froze with shock. What? Blue screen. His laptop monitor was still a black, empty screen. There's no way it would take this long to finish booting up. Oh, it couldn't be. No, don't let it be true. Had his computer decided to pick now of all times to give up the ghost? Minorikawa felt the blood drain from his face. Oh shit. Oh shit. Oh fuck. So there's still the bad end with Kano. Someone can do something at 140 that throws a wrench into Kano's activities, thanks to the involvement of some unrelated parties. And Kano's reaction will make the investigation play out differently. So 140. Well, the only one with a decision at 140, well... I wonder if it is actually Minorikawa. No, nothing really came to mind. It was about time to wrap this up. Thank you for your time, Mr. Yanagashita. If you'll excuse me, though, I have to get to another interview. Oh, no, of course. Allow me to walk you out. Yanagashita rose to his feet as Minorikawa got up to leave. Oh, that won't be necessary. It's no trouble. I'm headed out myself now. Gotta run before those guys show up. What guys do you mean? Oh, nobody. It's just a personal thing, that's all. They parted ways outside the building, and Minorikawa headed off to the cafe to put his article together. That seems like that choice doesn't matter. Although, it could matter. Yeah, I saw someone can do something at 140 that throws a wrench into Kano's activities. Oh, wait. I was a bit too hasty. Oh. At long last, the traffic began to move again. Almost as soon as it did, however, Stanley had to slam on the brakes. A frantic-looking man had jumped out in front of the car. Whoa, hey! What the hell are you doing? Kano sputtered. The stranger... Hold on. Chair. The stranger plastered his face against the passenger side window. Open up! He shouted. Open up the door! The guy showed every sign of total panic. Junichi Yanagashita. Something happened just after he parted ways with Minorikawa, and now he's running this way, and in quite a panic at that. Don't do it, Stanley warned. Kano hesitated. It wasn't like they could just drive off with his fellow clinging to the car. Please, you gotta help me! The man slipped his fingers in through the gaps in the window, trying to force it further open. Help me! Whoa, hold on, what's your deal? Help me! Sir, just tell me what... Help me! Look, up ahead! Stanley exclaimed suddenly. Kano whipped his head around. There, walking along the sidewalk ahead, was All Karawan, very much not in custody. What the hell? Kano tried to jump out of the car, but the frantic stranger had gotten his upper body wedged in the window and the door wouldn't open. Stanley, his usual steely expression replaced with a look of shock, exited on the driver's side and went after All Karawan himself. Kano shouted at the man in the window. Alright, get in! If the guy was that desperate to get inside, Kano wasn't about to stop him. Besides, he needed to get the guy to calm down and let go of his arm. Ow! The man yelped. Let go! Let go! He was the one holding on. Why was he demanding to be let go? What the hell is going on? Just as Kano's thought was forming, the crazed stranger was yanked back out of the car, dragging Kano with him. A pair of rough-looking men grabbed him by his lower body. No! No! He screamed. Can't do 80 days hard labor! Somehow he was still managing to cling to the car door. Just give it up and let it go already, snarled one of the assailants. The pair shifted their grip and pulled even harder. Kano heard the sound of tearing fabric as the two toughs stumbled backward. Just like that, the crazed stranger was stripped down to his boxers. He let out a pathetic wail. Aw, man! The two toughs burst into uproarious laughter at the sight. Now's our chance, one of them managed to sputter. The pantsless man snatched up his ruined garment and bolted like a startled hare. Still cackling madly, his two pursuers rushed after him, to dart off incredibly quickly in the manner of a fleeing rabbit. Yanagashita runs a lot more like a rat than a rabbit, though. Kano was still staring dumbstruck at the spectacle when Stanley returned to the car. No luck. I lost track of him. This doesn't make sense, Kano said, forcing himself to refocus on the case. All Karawan was taken back to the precinct. What's he doing walking free? Stanley gave him a dubious look. Have you seriously not figured it out? He asked. Or is this some kind of strange Japanese joke I'm not getting? What are you talking about? Kano replied. Do you know something I don't? Evidently I do. Your Detective Tateno let him go on purpose. That's the only explanation. Enraged at the suggestion, Kano took a swing at him, but Stanley coolly caught his fist. It's not me you should be punching, the American warned. It's Tateno. Abashed, Kano radioed up Kuze on the wireless. Sir, did Detective Tateno bring Tariq Al-Karwan to the precinct? It would appear that, Detective Tateno has gone rogue. Wait, it would appear that, Detective Tateno has gone rogue. Kuze replied with chagrin. He what? Surely Kano had misheard. We've received an eyewitness account, someone who saw him allowing the suspect to go free. No, it can't be. We currently do not know Detective Tateno's whereabouts. Or just what the hell is going on with him. After Kano ended the call, Stanley let out a low chuckle. I see. Looks like you had a traitor in your midst. Kano grabbed him by the collar. Stanley snorted. What are you trying to pull here? Tell me what you know. Kano snapped. All I did was state the facts. Look, I watched that man risk his life to talk down a would-be arsonist. He's a dyed-in-the-wool detective. He'd never betray anybody. I see, Stanley murmured. Then he's the real deal. Kano stared in surprise. He'd expected an argument. Good, he said. I'm glad we're on the same page. Tateno risked his life in order to get people to trust him. He's a dyed-in-the-wool spy, is what he is. Kano didn't have the words. He clenched his fist, trembling once more. He fumbled for his cell phone again. He dialed Tateno's number. The phone rang 5 times, but failed to connect. There has to be a reason for this, Kano muttered. Tateno must know something we don't. Really now? Really now? Stanley scoffed. And what makes you so sure of that? Because Detective Tateno was sure this kidnapping wasn't about the ransom. Kano's mind drifted back to 9 o'clock that morning. Ahead of their stakeout at the Scramble, he was walking with Tateno through the halls of the Shibuya precinct. We're going to do a bang-up job out there, Detective Tateno, he chirped. He was maybe a bit too excited about getting to take part in such a major case. Tateno patted Kano on the back. He needed to take a step back. You're not letting yourself see the forest for the trees. What do you mean, sir? What I mean is that this is no ordinary kidnapping. Tateno's words triggered a little revelation. You're talking about the location of this ransom handoff, aren't you? Kano said. It doesn't make any sense for the criminals to pick such a major intersection. Warmer? Tateno replied. Kano frowned inwardly. He'd been so sure that that was the answer. Have you thought about why they asked to have the sister make the handoff? Kano thought some more before answering. Because women are easier to deal with? He suggested. Colder. If that was the case, why not pick the mother? No. What worries me is the fact that the Osawa girls are twins. They're having us send someone to hand off who looks identical to the girl they kidnapped. What's going to happen when we do that? What is going to happen, sir? Kano asked. I'm not sure yet. But I have a feeling the kidnapper's plan hinges on it. The two exited through the precinct's main entrance. Up ahead, rows of buildings stood tall against a backdrop of a bright blue sky. Tateno let out a quiet sigh. To think that so many terrible things are happening out there on such a beautiful day. Solve one case and another's waiting, he went on. As always, what is it about people that drives them to do such horrible things? A girl abducted out of pure greed. When I think of how her parents must feel, I almost can't bear it. They made their way toward the scramble. Tateno continued walking in a quiet voice. My father was a raging alcoholic. The house was always a complete mess. He was loud, violent, never had any money, always reeked of booze. My mother, she would cry and cry. I was afraid to come home. Every day I stayed out playing as late as I could possibly manage. Kano could hear the pain in Tateno's voice. That life took too much of a toll on my mother. She died when I was still in grade school. My father, he just got worse. I was there with him at the end, after he'd wasted away to almost nothing. Not the sort of childhood I'd ever wish on anybody. Sounds like you really went through a lot. Kano hated himself for uttering such an empty platitude, but he had no idea what else to say. Kano, as old as I am, I still don't really know what it is to be happy. I think that's probably because I've never known what it's like to have a happy family. Tateno sounded so forlorn. The only happiness I know how to protect is other people's happiness. Kano heard those words in the soul of a true detective. I just hope you're ready. Kano did his best to keep his voice as calm and level as he could, lifting up his clenched fist. Because if I find proof that Tateno is innocent, I'm planting this right in your jaw. Stanley just cracked a wry smile. The traffic had finally diminished, and they rapidly drew close to their destination. The syndicate hangout was in Tomigaya, to the southwest of Yoyogi Park. The ratty building looked like it might come crashing down at any minute. The Black Lodge sign out front looked deliberately ominous. Kano knew the place as a bar frequented by expats from various countries, as well as a hotbed of criminal activity. I'll take point, Stanley said. You back me up. He pulled a handgun from his suit pocket. It was a compact Glock, a model frequently used by the FBI or CIA. Kano drew his own gun, and the two cautiously made their way inside. At the end of the hallway was a wooden door. Stanley signaled with his eyes. Kano gave a tiny nod, and Stanley kicked the door in. The stench of blood hit them as soon as they stepped inside. Kano let out a startled gasp. There were nearly a dozen bodies sprawled out across the floor. He recognized them all. They were men who'd participated in the repeated attaché case handoffs. Each appeared to have been stabbed to death. Stanley took a closer look. The blood's not fully dried. These guys weren't killed that long ago. Kano quickly scanned the bar high and low, but there was no sign of a killer in hiding. There was no trace of Maria either. One of the fallen men let out a faint, strained groan. Hey! Kano'd out. Stay with us! What did I say? Kano called out? Kano'd out? Kano called out. Stay with us. He hunched down beside the wounded man. A brief gurgle rose from the man's throat. He was clearly struggling to say something, but his voice was too garbled, too indistinct for Kano to make out any coherent words. Kanon? What was that? But there was no more. The dying man went limp and still. Oh. So now we know the identity of that mystery assassin. Now we know the identity of Tama. Flim flam. All right. That is an amazing animation. That's a wonderful reward for getting this far in the game. So, I think it's a good spot to end things off. We got through a time block. We learned the identity of Tama, who ended up being Maria Osawa. I saw this coming a mile away. We learned the identity of that mystery assassin from the beginning of the last chapter. Switch back. They're very similar. Very similar animations. That's funny. But Osawa is looking away from Maria. So, Minorikawa, he has more things to do. Code Maria. Oh god. Achi and Hitomi, they ran into Kanon. Kano now needs to look for Kanon. Minorikawa, his battery laptop battery is fucked. And Osawa, the assistant director, his shit's bugged. He looks familiar or sounds familiar. Where have I seen him before? He looks exactly like he was a live streamer. He looks like a live action Jimmy T. But I know that's not what you're talking about. Wait, is he actually in prison? Wait. I need to look this up. I need to verify. A real life Truman Burbank? What the fuck? I did watch The Truman Show. Wait a minute. No, I don't remember. Tomoaki Hamatsu. Let me see if I can find it. Truman Show. Nasubi. Oh, Oh, so he did. Oh, he did that in real life. That's fucked up, man. Anyways, with that, I will end off the stream here, and I'll say thank you so very much for watching this. I am very excited to continue this, and I hope to see you all in the next stream. So take care, everybody, and I hope you have a good night. Bye-bye.